I'm making apple preserves today, which are very similar to a jam. This has the addition of the nutmeg and the cinnamon to it, and so it tastes just fabulous on pancakes and waffles. I'll start by using my slicer, corer, or peeler to prep my apples. I'll start by doing 5 apples and then see where that gets me. It should be pretty close. Now I'll just go through and fine tune my apples. I take off the very top portion that still has some of the skin on it, and I do the same for the bottom here. And then I'll just go through and slice it into pieces. This makes it so that it makes a really nice preserve, and you get, you know, little pieces in each of them, kind of like a jam. I love how easy this machine makes it. So then I'll put it right in my measuring cup, and I need 6 cups worth. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of skin that's left in the center portion, and I just cut that off. So that ended up taking 4 apples to make my 6 cups worth of chopped apples. And then I add 1 cup of water to the apples and 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Then I'll place these on the stove and get it to a simmer for 10 minutes. This is just to soften up those apples a little bit. With my apples nice and softened and warm, now I'll add 6 tablespoons of pectin, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and half of a teaspoon of butter. And then I'll place it on the stove and bring it back up to a boil. Now that I have a nice boil going, I need to add 4 cups of white sugar. I'll mix that in nicely. At this point, I want to stir the entire time because with all of that sugar, it increases the risk of scorching. Look how pretty it looks already, and it smells really good. All those spices in it already. Now that it's at a boil, I'll set the timer for 1 minute. Now I'll be adding my last ingredient, half of a teaspoon of nutmeg, and then I stir that in nice and well because I want that to be in all of the jam. I'll be using 1/2 pint jars, and I'll fill them up to 1/4 of an inch of headspace, which is the space from the top of the food to the top of the jar. I always think it's so pretty. You can see all the spices that are floating in that syrup. It's just perfect for using as, well, on waffles or pancakes. That's probably my favorite thing to use it for. And now I have just a little bit too much in one of the jars, so I'll just take that out and add it to one of the ones that doesn't have quite enough. And then I'll use a clean, damp cloth to wipe off the outside of my jar. And then I put my lids and rings on until they're fingertip tight. And then I'll place my jars in my water bath canner, and I'll process them for 10 minutes if at sea level. I'm at 1,200 feet, so I'll process it for 15. Now that the water has come to a nice rolling boil, I'll set the timer. Now that the timer has gone off, I'll turn off the heat, remove my lid, and allow it to rest for 5 minutes to cool. I'll then remove the jars from my water bath canner and leave them 1 to 2 inches apart on a heat-resistant surface. I'll let them cool there for about 24 hours to let them get a good seal. And after that, I'll remove the ring, wash off the outside with hot soapy water, and then I'll put them in a cool, dry, dark location. And I want to use them in about the next 1 to 3 years. So I didn't end up having very much for a taste tester, but I do have just about 1 bite worth, so that's all I need. It's actually so good. It's got those spices that kind of remind you of like a spiced applesauce. And then I've got those apple chunks in it. And, of course it's sweet, but you can also taste that little bit of nutmeg. It's so good.